Hello everyone, this video is about adding mixed numbers. Okay, so a mixed number is a number with both a whole number and a fraction as part of it. So my whole number in this 3 1/2, 3 would be my whole number, 1/2 would be my fraction. Okay, if I'm adding mixed numbers, then I need to, of course, have another mixed number to add. So I'm going to add 2 and 2/9. Okay, so I have 3 1/2 and 2 2/9. When I add mixed numbers, I'm going to hold off on adding my 2 whole numbers. This is not so much important for adding fractions, but it becomes crucial when we subtract. So we're going to hold off on adding our whole number until till the end, so we stay in a good habit. So the first thing we want to do is we want to change our 1/2 and our 2/9 into equivalent fractions so they both have the same denominator so we can actually add them. So this is just like before, 1/2, and I'm going to make 2/9 blue. So I want to find a common number between 2 and 9. So if I needed to, I could list them out. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. And then 9, I would have 9, 18. So I see 18 is my common denominator, so I'm going to change both fractions to a common denominator. If you're still struggling with this step, I have another video about adding and subtracting fractions that you should watch to help you before moving on with this. So if I find 18 as my common number, I want to multiply both my top and my bottom number, both fractions, by something to get to 18 as my denominator. So for 1/2, I multiply something by 2 to get 18. That number is going to be 9. 9 times 2 gets me 18. Okay, and then I'm going to multiply 1 times 9 to get me to 9, of course. Okay, somehow I need to go from 9 to 18 in my other fraction. So 9 times 2 gets me to 18. So I'm going to multiply my top number by 2 as well. So 2 times 2 gets me 4. So 4/18. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to plug my 9/18 back and make it into my 1/2. And I'm going to plug my 4/18 and make it to my 2/9. So here's what my mixed numbers look like with my new fractions. I'm going to add my 9/18 together plus my 4/18. And that's going to equal 3/13/18 as my answer. Okay. This fraction is not improper, so it's not going to be made into another mixed number. So what I can do is I can add my cherry on top, my 3 plus 2 to get 5, and my fraction is 13/18 as my final answer. Let's do one more mixed number addition problem. I'm going to go a little bit faster this time, okay? So if I have 2 1/5 plus 1 1/2, okay, I need to change my fractions into numbers where they have the same denominator. I'm going to kind of jump ahead because I already know that my common denominator is going to be 10, or it needs to be 10. So to get from 5 to 10, I know I multiply 2. So I'm going to multiply my top number by 2 as well. So my 1 times 2 gets me 2. Okay, and now I'm going to multiply my 1/2. So I know I need to get from 2 to 10. Okay, to get from 2 to 10, I know I multiply 5. So I'm going to multiply my 1 by 5 as well. So 1 times 5 gets me 5. Okay, I'll add in my whole numbers. Okay, and so that gives me my 2 fractions where they have a common denominator. And when they have a common denominator, I can actually add. So I'm going to add my 5 plus 2 to get 7/10. And then 2 plus 1 gets me 3. So 3 7/10 is my final answer. I'm gonna do a different sort of mixed number addition problem. This one is going to involve changing your fraction because it is an improper fraction. So if I have, for instance, 3 and 3/4 as one fraction, plus 2 and 2/3 as another fraction. Okay. I'm going to change my fractions so they have a common denominator with each other. So 3/4, I'm going to change to something over 12, and I multiply 3. 3 times 3 gets me to 9. And then I'm going to do 2/3. Something times 3 gets me to 12, and that's 4. So 2 times 4 gets me to 8. So then I plug that back in. I plug in my 8/12 to 2/3, and I plug in my 9/12 to 3/4. So my new fraction is going to be 3 and 9/12 plus 2 and 8/12, which is actually going to equal 13/12. And then I'm going to wait because I added my 9/12 plus 8/12, and I got an improper fraction. So if I wanted to, I could add my 3 and my 2, and I would get 5. But I can't have an improper fraction, my 3/12. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink the screen a little bit so I can add more, push that up. I'm going to change my 3/12 into a mixed number. So if I have 13/12, it's going to equal 1 and 1/12. If you don't remember how to make mixed numbers, again, I have another video. Go ahead and go back to the home screen and find that video if you need help. But I got 1 and 1/12. So now I'm going to add my 1 and 1/12 plus my 5. I'm going to shift that over. I'm going to show my 5 plus 1 and 1/12, which is my new mixed number for 3 and 13/12. So I get 6 and 1/12 as my final answer. 6 and 1/12 is my final answer. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to come to me before or after school or sometime during class if there's time. I hope this video helps.